All right.
You're listening to another ambitious entrepreneurnetwork.com podcast, the voice for entrepreneurs and small business. Now, onto the show.
Welcome to the Christian Entrepreneurs Podcast, daily conversations with Christian entrepreneurs to inspire and empower Christian business owners to walk strongly in their faith, while build a thriving business that honors Him in every way. Now, over to your host, Anne-Marie Cross.
And welcome to another episode of the Christian Entrepreneurs Podcast. This is episode 67. And yes, I'm your host, Anne-Marie Cross, the podcasting queen. Today's guest says, stop chasing perfection, chase possibilities. Now, as a Christian entrepreneur, let's be honest, are you a little bit of a perfectionist, or do you prefer to chase possibilities for your business? Well, today's guest is going to show us how to do that. Joining me on today's show is Rachel Wilson Thibodeaux. And Rachel is the founder and the owner of Swag Strategy Solutions. Swag is not just a cool name, although it is cool, I'm sure you'd agree. It's the acronym for Strategic Women Achieve Growth. Visionary women entrepreneurs, service-based entrepreneurs, small business owners, and other purpose-driven leaders turn to Rachel for more effective brand and marketing strategy that leads to cash flow. Rachel's also the creator of the Brand Sell Profit System, and her latest book of the same title is a blueprint that helps her audience connect the dots between an unforgettable brand and a solid bottom line. Very important. Now, on today's show, Rachel's going to share Only God is Perfect. Only God is perfect. It's not all about me, as well as profit is about more than money. Profit is simply a return on investment. And when we make a difference, it can be profitable spiritually, socially, mentally, and financially. So welcome to the show, Rachel.
Hello. Thank you.
This is such an important topic, I think, for all of us. There is a little bit of perfection, that perfection qualities, tendencies. So it's great to be able to talk about that. But just share with us, if you will, the journey that led you now to creating this incredible business to help women really make, an influence and impact in their business, but obviously in the world as well. Was it like a gradual journey, or something you've always wanted to do? How did that play out for you?
It was somewhat gradual. I spent over 16 years in corporate America working for major companies like JP Morgan Chase, Fidelity Investments. And for the most part, I really enjoyed my jobs. My last job, I started out really enjoying it. And then over time, some things changed, and I had always been kind of entrepreneurial. I think that was always there. I did things on the side, if you will, whether it was speaking, consulting, but I figured, I would keep my nice cushy job, my nice benefits having a job. And it just didn't really work out like that, because I just felt that tug more and more. And the last couple of years on my last job, I had pretty much determined that I was going to go out on my own, that I wanted to go out as a full-time entrepreneur, and still had not just really made that decision. But some things happened the last 6 months in particular that I was there on my job. And I tell people all the time, I was not fired, but it kind of felt like I didn't have a choice. So I did leave in August of 2013, and everything was not all perfect. That's a really good example. All of my ducks were not lined up. It was scary, but I really felt it was the right decision. And it has certainly been a journey. It's been a huge learning experience. but certainly something I think I am doing what I'm called to be doing.
Yes. Sometimes when there is a calling and a path that God wants us to take, and we're kind of, no, it's not comfortable, I don't really want to take that path, he will put things in front of us to go, yes, you are, you know, and share, because many of the people that I've spoken to, and I'm sure this is true for you too, Rachel, is that when you did start to build that momentum, you can now look back and realize that God had you in his hands the whole way through. Yes?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about only God is perfect.
Oh, yes, Anne-Marie. Well, I have been reminded of that more than once, and you can possibly, I don't know for sure, you may or may not can understand this as I like to say, a recovering perfectionist. You know, I thought I was wonderful. I knew that technically I wasn't perfect, but I figured I would always get as close as possible. And I was especially reminded of that probably the first 3 months after I left my job, because what I did is what a number of people do who decide to start a business or to focus full time on a business. I wanted to do a website. I felt that I needed a website. And so I actually thought that I could create my own website. I drank the WordPress Kool-Aid, as I like to say, and that didn't really, it didn't really work out. And I was so freaked out and worried about not having the perfect website that I realized I really wasn't focusing enough on the most important thing, and that was getting clients. That was starting to grow my business and to bring some money in the door. And so I spent 2.5 months or so trying to build a website. And all I had to show for it was 1.5, I do like to emphasize the half, 1.5 pages on my website. And those were
no,
those were crappy. And so that was probably my first reminder, and as a full-time entrepreneur, that things were not going to be perfect. I certainly was not perfect, and that was okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it, Rachel, that, you know, in the example that you shared today, I mean, I think we can all relate to that. But really, it's a good time to take a step back and just question, is there something that God is calling us to play bigger, to say yes to speaking opportunities, to share our message or something, yet with saying, no, I need to go and do that course. No, I need to go and, you know, lose 10 pounds or whatever it is. Yeah. And like, you know what, you are ready now. Go now. What have you learned? Are there different things that you now do? Because I think this is something that if we tend to want to have things looking good or looking nice, or that you have some control over it. Because I think with that perfectionist aspect, there is that control there too, that we want to have control over that, don't we? And that's something that we learn over time. So, and that we can unfortunately fall back into if we don't monitor and have. So what do you do to now ensure that as the CEO of your business, you really are focusing on what your inner brilliance, what your giftings are, and allow others to support you around you?
Sometimes it's still a little tough, but I've gotten better at really identifying it. I know when I'm being a perfectionist, when I'm holding myself back, kind of self-sabotaging, if you will. And so I think as you grow, sometimes this comes with age as well. You begin to realize really what's going on up here, and you can better navigate that. Because before, I really didn't pay it a lot of attention, because I guess that was who I was. And so the talk in my head, the negative chatter, the no, you can't do this, you're not ready to do that, I would feed into that. I would buy into it. And now, you know, sometimes I have to have a talk with myself. I tell people all the time, there's nothing wrong with you talking to yourself.
I'm all up for that. Absolutely.
And sometimes it is necessary. So now I catch myself when I'm doing that. And I've also just become better at knowing what is really important, what's priority, what should be a priority, and what really should not be. And I mean, sometimes that can be difficult, but again, I think it's just a matter of you paying more attention, and realizing, and again, listening to God, listening, internally, because He'll guide you as well. He shows us and He guides us where He wants us to go and what we really need to focus on.
Yeah, so true. And what I loved about the message that you're sharing today is that, no matter what stage we are at in our business, whether we're starting up, whether we've been in there for a couple of years, 5 years, 10 years, as we continue to grow, as we're building the business, that next paradigm or the next shift sometimes has us going, holding our breath. And it's something that we need to deal with. We just get better. Then when we bring it to prayer and we know that what we are doing is also aligned with, the path that God wants for us, you probably find too that doors open, that no matter how much we would have tried with effort and time and commitment, would just never have been. And we can really see that it's His hand in that. But if we're not taking that action, if we're not doing that and showing up, then He can't support us in that way because we're just sitting there. So great conversation. Let's talk about it's not all about me. What does that mean for you, and what insights would you like to share in this area?
It's not all about me and something else I have to remind myself of sometimes. And I think this is something many of us are guilty of, especially entrepreneurs, marketers, creatives. We get so wrapped up in what we want to do and what we want for our audience sometimes. So it's not always about being selfish, but I think we really get into our heads a little too much, and it ties into the whole perfection thing, because we have this this thought, this standard that I can't do something, I can't help someone unless this and this is all lined up or it's all perfect. And then sometimes also it's about our feelings. Sometimes we don't feel a certain way. Maybe we don't feel like having a call, reaching out to someone, following up, doing a speaking engagement, when it's really about other people. It's really about the people that you're here to serve. And even if it's one person, let alone it could be 20, it could be 100, it could be 10,000 who need to hear, need to read, however you're delivering your content or your gifts, they need that. And so that's really what I mean. That get caught up in that, sometimes even in terms of physical appearance, well, my hair is not right, my makeup is not right. You mentioned earlier, and this is something I think that really women deal a lot with, I need to lose 10 pounds, I need to lose 20 pounds, I don't look right, or I don't look my best. And it's really funny because often the very things that we are so worried about, no one else cares about. I mean, they're not paying attention to the things that we're stressed about. And so, I tell people all the time, I tell my clients, I tell just about anyone who will listen, it's not about you.
Yeah. What I love about what you've said there is so important. Also too, sometimes as we do have the courage to step out and share our message, that message, as you said, are for the people that it is meant to serve and support, that God wants you to speak into and over their lives. At the same token, sometimes, and for many of us, we will have other people that are not our ideal clients, and they're not who we are here to support. And some of the feedback that we can get can often, unfortunately, if it's negative or they're saying things about us directly even, can sometimes have us playing small too. And that's such a great reminder, what you've said, look, it's not about you. It's about the woman, the man, the person who is struggling and needs to hear that message. And if we're hiding out because of what someone says, because we don't feel good, then someone remains in their struggle. And I think that's just so, we all struggle with that, whatever that is.
Oh, yeah.
Well, for some of us, it's a lot of that. But once we break through that and we realize the impact that our message is having, and that, you know, the calling that God has on our lives for the mission that we are here to do, that pulls us forward, because it's like, you know what, I'm just going to do that no matter what. And that's really, you know, where you get to, and it's said, all right, you know, now I've had, not thankfully, God thankfully, I haven't had too many things, but a couple of times people have said something and it's like, just bless you, bye. You know, we just have to keep focused on the people that we are here to serve and support. So important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about profit is about more than money. That whole money conversation is a whole topic on its own. And many women, particularly and men too, are grown up in the church, can sometimes, that can be a barrier and a block too, when we start generating income, and it's kind of like, oh, you know, or not, because it's just a topic that we don't. So let's dive into this. Let's unpack this more, because I think it's going to be very important for people today.
Yes. Well, I have to say, I'm someone with a background in financial services, financial, wealth building. I spent a lot of my career in financial services. I spent some time as a financial advisor. So the whole money thing, money mindset, money conversations, I'm very familiar with, and I'm comfortable with. So I certainly don't have a problem with making money. I don't really have that hang up, at least not really. But I also want to get across that profit is not just about money. It's not just monetary. And I'm reminded of that as well all the time, because there have been things that I've done, for example, speaking engagements, where I may have not been paid, but I know I had an impact. And I'm not telling people, especially professional speakers out there, I'm not telling you to go out and do a lot of speaking for free. But what I am saying is that you can still make a difference. You can still be impactful. And that is a form of profit, because when you think about what you put in, your investment, if you will, and then what you get back in return. And especially when you have someone come up to you later and they're just thanking you, they're praising you almost for helping them. And perhaps even after that, weeks after that, months after that, you're still getting positive feedback, and, people telling you that you made a difference. That's really priceless. And so that's a form, I would say, of profit. And then peace. Peace is really important. I consider peace to also be a form of profit, whether you look at it mentally, emotionally, spiritually, peace is a wonderful thing.
It is. What I love about what you're sharing there is that, the decision that we make to show up and speak or provide a service for someone or someone's, if we feel good about it and it's done with intention and with purpose, I think that's so empowering, and to make that decision. And that's right. The benefits, the ongoing benefits, can certainly be exponential. Speak a little bit, if you will, because I know this because of the fact that you have had so much training and knowledge in the area of finance. And I think here in Australia, so many small businesses fail, particularly business run by women. My little dog there barking in the background, just ignore him. He likes to get on the show sometimes. Anyway, one of the things that these businesses are failing is because they don't have financial knowledge. And that could be around money mindset, thinking I'm confused about money, I don't like tracking my numbers and so forth. So speak a bit about what are, say, one or two key things you want to share today, particularly for people who are struggling with money and money mindset. What can you share with them that's going to really empower them to look at it differently, to shift that belief that's just not helping them around money and finances and tracking that?
I think mindset is so incredibly important, how you view money. And I think more and more people are starting to really evaluate that and reflect that, because I think for a while, and for many of us, it's something that we never thought a lot about. That is actually an advantage I think entrepreneurship offers, because I know for myself, I know for other people, colleagues and friends of mine who have gotten into running their own business, they are thinking more about money and thinking more about how they think about money more than ever before. First of all, you do have to identify your mindset, whether it really is kind of sucky or if it's healthy. And a lot of times it's not healthy, and that just tends to perpetuate more challenge, more lack, if you will. If you're getting up every day, if you're getting up even some days, and you are really believing you're not going to make money, you're not making enough money, or you'll never make enough money, you're probably not. And words as well are really powerful. So that is something I have caught myself doing. I said before that I haven't had a big hang up with money, but I've been guilty of just saying unhealthy things about money, or negative things that are not true, essentially. But it's just, things that I grew up hearing, or just something that is in my my psyche. So I think that is really important, first and foremost. And then it's really important to know your numbers. And that's not necessarily new. That may not be earth shattering, but it's definitely something that bears repeating. I'm really big on knowing as much, you need to know the money going out as much as you know the money coming in. And I run into folks, I have some clients like this, that they're ecstatic about the money they have coming in, but they're not really aware, and they're not really paying enough attention to the money going out, because that is what determines your profit. Sales is not the same as profit. And so you have to know your numbers and what is going on, know how you can increase your revenue as well as how you can decrease your expenses.
Yeah, so very important. Loved all of that. People that are listening today, I think they can really, for many of us, if we're not familiar with how to track and how to monitor and incoming and outgoing, we can see that really is keeping our businesses stuck. And I think it's about finding someone who can explain it to us and asking, and not being embarrassed to ask the question. It's something that unless you've been shown how, and unless someone is able to share it in a way that we can understand it, once we have a better understanding, we can be far more empowered to be able to look at figures and then make better decisions in our business about whether to invest this way or that way. And of course, bring that, to prayer. It's hard for God to show us and give us direction if we can't understand, if we're looking at our profit and loss and things like that. So how would people get in contact with you? Because this is obviously an area that you are such an expert in, and you can share. So what's the best way that people can connect with you and reach out to you?
Sure. People can connect with me on my website, swagstrategy.com. Swag, I always repeat it, swagstrategy.com. I also spend a lot of time on LinkedIn and Instagram. Those are probably my two favorite social media platforms. And so I'm on LinkedIn, just my name, Rachel W. Thibodeaux, or Rachel Wilson Thibodeaux. And then I'm on Instagram at Rachel, the swag strategist.
Fantastic. And we'll put all of those details up on our show notes. Thank you so much for coming on the show. My dog is still barking. Someone has been knocking on my door and it's like, hello. So I am about to go and answer that. But anyway, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you today, Rachel. I think everything you spoke about is so very important. And for many of us, some of us, we may need to really focus on our income and on our finances so that we can better make decisions and investment in our business so that we can continue to build kingdom businesses and make an impact out in the world. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, you're very welcome, Anne-Marie. And I also just want to share another resource where folks can get even more information about really connecting the dots between your brand and your bottom line, in addition to more information on finances. And that's in my latest book, Brand Sell Profit, which is available on Amazon. It's also available on my website.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Christian Entrepreneurs Podcast, brought to you by BeTheDifferenceMovement.com. Changing the world one message at a time. Do you feel called to influence real change with your message? Join our supportive community of like-minded influencers, thought leaders, and disruptors at www.BeTheDifferenceMovement.com. That's BeTheDifferenceMovement.com.